Good evening and welcome to Real Talk, where every Sunday night we offer insight, education, and resources to in home caregivers and those affected in their world. These are the children, the parents, the extended family, and everyone who loves them. Our goal is to offer real life topics and learning through discussing real issues and offering real solutions. And tonight I am very excited to welcome back a very popular guest, Angela, who has been with us before and as always has just great insight to share and such a warm and giving spirit. I love getting the chance to talk with her. So I'm excited to have her. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, absolutely. So Angela's full bio will be in the feed, but for those of you who don't know, she is a newborn care specialist, a lactation educator. It's going to be one of those nights, and a new parent educator. That between that and the hair, it's going to be one of those nights, right? And tonight we're going to kind of dig into one aspect of her work that's something a lot of times we don't necessarily think about when we first enter the in-home care world, but it's huge and it's such an important thing to talk about. And that's discussing, understanding, and respecting families' beliefs around the holidays, because these can vary so much depending on the family's background and their particular beliefs and their culture. There's so much around that. And so I know Angela's going to have some really amazing wisdom and some takeaways for us tonight. So I'm excited. Before we jump into that, Angela, for those who don't know you, can you give us just a little bit of your kind of why this is such a passion for you, this industry, why you love working with families, and kind of how you got into this? The real short version, of course.
Okay, the short version is both my parents are teachers, so it's in my genes. And my version is I've always loved kids. Everywhere I go, they seem to talk to me. And my husband's like, "You don't know that child." I said, "We have this. We talk to each other."
Yep.
So kids look at me, they smile, I smile back at them, and they talk to me. So, I have been called the baby whisperer. I have been called the third parent. Um, I also I love the aha moments when they get it. They have this frustration, and all of a sudden, all that frustration, and they either roll over or they accomplish a goal, and they go, "That right there is worth it." That's why I do what I do, because I love seeing those moments and knowing that I had something to do with it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And you are really good at this and have really great things to share. I know because I can see in people when the passion is there. But I also know just because you can't be good at this if you're not also good at encouraging the adults in your life. And you do lots of that for lots of people in our industry. So I'm excited for the things that we can share tonight. And obviously, we're not going to be able to cover every tradition, every cultural practice, that sort of thing tonight. But we're going to talk more kind of the recommended practices and suggestions and your tips, regardless of what the cultural background is, regardless of what the tradition is. So we might use specific examples, but we're going to acknowledge we can't cover every possible thing around this.
Right.
But how do we talk about cultural differences with the families? When's the right time to bring it up? Is it, wow, the holidays are coming? Or is it something that we maybe introduce sooner, first week of work? Do we talk about during the interview process? Where do we start these conversations with families?
Well, I like to start it during the interview, because if it's something that they believe in that goes against my beliefs, that goes against everything within me, and I think it may be harmful to the children, to their emotional development, because some things that adults do can be scary to children. And they grow up, just because it's a ritual in your family does not mean that your child is in agreement with it. And if I know that it's going to be detrimental to me. I'm not an atheist, and I'm not. Um, Several different religions worship different things, and I'm just not willing to do that. And so I mentioned it during the interview so that I can get a a better have a well-rounded um, answers to my questions as far as what you believe in, what are the rituals, what are your cultural differences that may come up and may cause us to clash. I don't like clashing with families. And even though they may be a nice and sweet family, I know if I'm asked to do something that goes against everything that I believe in, that I'm probably not going to do it. And it's probably going to be a problem for me. So I would rather them have someone who is more like their family than for me to come in and take the job and then be like, no, 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 no. And they'll be upset because that's important to them. And that's probably the type of nanny that they need is someone who is going to help them through these rituals, who's going to help them through these cultural differences, that understands um, what goes on. So I like to talk to them at the interview process. I like to ask a few questions like, you know, are there any excuse me, are there any rituals that you all do for Christmas holidays? Do you celebrate Christmas? Do you celebrate Thanksgiving? Um, what are your holiday? What do you do during the holidays? Some people may do nothing, and so it won't be a problem. But some people may have certain things that they do in a mosque or a synagogue or in the church or wherever they worship and want to take you with them. So you have to ask those questions. And if you haven't asked before then, now's the time to ask before Thanksgiving and Christmas and the New Year's come, because it may be something totally different than what you're used to.
Hmm. And I think, and I don't know if you feel the same way, so obviously share if you don't, but families a lot of times have cultural practices that are, say, different than what you or I might have, or they might have holiday practices that are different. And to me anyway, there's a big difference between allowing their family to celebrate and even supporting the fact within their family that they celebrated, and them asking me to celebrate it versus just respect that they're different.
Ex-
Um,
that's exactly what that was included in my statement. If it wasn't clear, yes, because if I'm expected to celebrate or take the kids and do things with them, the adults do this and the children do that, and we need you to make sure the children do this. If you don't have a problem with it, make sure you understand it before you say yes or no,
mhm,
and make sure they walk you through it, because sometimes you can do something wrong by accident and it's very disrespectful.
mhm.
And people, if relatives are there, they will look at you and frown on you like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to the kids? Why are you doing that? And I didn't know I did anything wrong. I didn't know I said something wrong. So, give me a script or inform me what I'm expected to do or how I'm expected to do it before. Let's run through it so that you can hear what I'm going to say, and we won't be offensive. I won't offend your family or your beliefs.
Yeah, I agree. Do you find that most families are actually really happy to share their particular either cultural or religious practices if you ask about them and they can tell that you're interested and have an open mind?
Yes, I've been to several cultural, religious uh, activities. I guess I don't know what the proper word for them is, so that's why I say I ask. I've been to what is it? It's called it's an Indian culture. and the baby's first meal. They have
Oh,
this
yeah.
ceremony, and they pray over the baby, and people guess what if she'll like it or he'll like it or whatever it is. It's some kind of porridge that they give them, and
Right.
it's like everybody's like, no, he's not gonna like it. Yes, she'll like it. And I'm sitting there, and then I was expected to hold the baby up, and I was just like, she said, "You're a part of our family. You're part of our we see you as part of our family, so we want you to participate." And I'm like, is there something that extra that I need to wear? And sometimes it is a certain garb or a certain uniform or whatever it is that you a costume that you have to dress up in to go and perform these duties.
Mhm.
So to me, I love being included, especially if it's something that I think is it's new to me, but I feel like it's one of those rituals that I wish, our family did something like this, or I have this because I love this baby and watching them and seeing the surprise and seeing the moment, the aha moments on their faces, and watching the family as they come together. It is such a blessing to me to watch this happen. So yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, I do too. I have found many families have been actually really excited to get to share some of this with me. And I worked for, in particular, for whatever reason, I worked for a lot of Jewish families. And I love to get to participate in the things that they will invite me to participate with. And their cultural and faith based observances are just amazing and beautiful. And I love to get to participate in that. And I've always found people very open and very willing to share. So I'm glad that that's been your experience too. What advice would you have for a caregiver who is maybe experiencing something for the very first time? What would you tell them around it?
Have an open mind. That's first of all. Um, be respectful. And even if you don't like it, don't turn your nose up at it. Be respectful. Be professional.
Mhm.
Put your professional face on. Whatever you do, put your professional face on. Put your best forward, even if you don't like it. If you're experiencing something new, and it's a joyful thing, enjoy it. Enjoy take part in it. The family feels like you're part of their family, or they would not have invited you. They feel that you are important to that child, and that when they look back on those family photos and you're in it, oh yes, that was your nanny at the time, and she did this and she did that, and we just loved her, and you need to get to know her now that you're older. I have a child that's 17, my first nanny child, 17, 18 years old. He's off to college, and I got to participate in watching him uh, virtually graduate because the parents invited me, and they included me and they sent me the invitation, and that meant a lot to me. And when parents ask you to do these things, like I said, be professional about it. Participate, and if you don't want to participate, say no thank you. um, it's not a bad thing to say no thank you, but if you know it's not for you, um, or if you have something else already planned, just let them know in advance.
Mhm.
They may be disappointed, but it's their family, and respect their family and respect their rituals and respect them as the professional that you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, I've been there too. I moved to Arizona a long time ago, 20 years ago, to work with a set of newborn premature triplets. And when they turned 13, and I got to attend what they affectionately referred to as the tri mitzvah, because there was one boy and two girls. So instead of a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah, it was the tri mitzvah. And I have a picture of me with all three of them and their big brother at that point. And it is truly an honor to get included in those family celebrations and observances and rituals. I think your point was so right on, that many times these families consider us part of the family. And that's why they invite us to celebrate with them. And it is an honor.
Definitely an honor.
Yeah. So we both know, because you and I both love good food, that a lot of times, we're like, yeah, food.
Yeah, I love cooking.
Right, me too. A lot of times these celebrations involve foods that we may or may not have experienced before. And there's also oftentimes various levels of alcoholic beverages, either included or not included, depending on the culture. What's your advice to somebody around that if they show up at an event and maybe there's a toast, or there's wine available, or there's a full bar, or whatever? What's your advice to people around that?
My first thought was know your limit. But then I think about that, even if you know your limit, you don't want to hit that limit. Mm. I am not a drinker, and I know this. So they will hand me a glass of wine or whatever it is they hand me, and I will hold on to it. And I have my hand, and they'll come back around and say, "You want some?" "Oh, I'm full." I will lift the glass up to my lips, let it touch my lips like I'm drinking, but I don't drink when I'm around. When I have those occasions, I don't drink. If everybody's like, "Oh, come on, you need to do this, you need to do that," participate. Okay, so I will take the glass, but everybody else can drink, but I don't drink. First of all, I don't want them to see me as I'm drinking and driving because I drove myself there. That is so important, because if I'm drinking and driving at one party, who's to say that you're not going to be drinking and driving at some other time with my child? That shows a lot to the family, and people pay attention. It may not be mom and dad. It may be grandma and grandpa. It may be the uncle or the aunt or the priest or whoever is there. They are paying attention to you because you are responsible for that child. You represent that family. And in representing that family, you have to be careful what you say, what you do, how you act, and how you react. You can act and react any kind of, your family knows your personality. The friends and family, they don't know your personality. They don't know that you have a dry humor. They don't know, so don't just readily throw out that blurt that, everybody will be looking at you like, what? Mm-hmm. And you never know what's going on in their mind. But also with the food and the beverages, try new things. If you are allergic, like I am to a lot of foods, I stick with what I know, what I can see, especially foods that have mushrooms in them. It's hard to see mushrooms if they're ground up and put it. I was like, okay, there's a piece of ham. Yeah, let me grab that. Oh, there's a piece of bread. Okay, that will be that's my plate. Uh-huh. If there's cake, I will take cake. But the rest of it, if it looks good, but I don't know what's in it, I don't eat it because I'm allergic to peppers too. And I don't want to have an allergic reaction and mess up everybody's fun. Mm-hmm. I don't want to drink and then get a little tipsy, or you don't know what's in that glass because it's a traditional drink that they make, and it has been sitting for years and years and years waiting on this child to get to this age. And it has become so strong that you take a sip of it and you just kind of go, mm-hmm. So I would advise, don't drink. and stick with the foods that you know,
Mhm.
so that everybody can have a good time and everybody will enjoy, and don't necessarily try to be the, can I say, um oh, it just slipped my mind. I w Don't be the attention getter.
Yeah.
Don't be the one that's loud, because sometimes when people drink, they get loud and they don't realize that they are loud. They don't realize that the words that are coming out of their mouth are offensive. They think it's just a joke and they are laughing about it and laughing loudly. And then because it can affect you come if it's a weekend party, come Monday morning, you may not have a job,
Mhm.
because remember, family sticks with family. And if grandma and grandpa don't like you, that could affect your job.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I will share just a brief thing. It wasn't a nanny event or an NCS event. I wasn't with a family. It was a professional event I went to, and dinner was served, and I ate plenty of food. And this event that I went to, and this was several years ago, but they had these cocktails that they made that were special for the event, and they brought them out. In fact, they were about the color of my shirt. They were this bright blue, and I'd never seen anything like it before. And it just came in a little tiny glass, like those little tiny plastic cups that are only like 3 inches high.
Right.
And, I thought, well, this looks interesting and I want to be a good sport. I'll try this. And I had a sip and it tasted pretty good. And I was like, okay, well, I drank one drink and I went out to, to get up to go to the restroom. And it wasn't even a full glass. And I was like, holy cow, what was in that? That was an Uber ride home, because it was like, there's no way I can get behind the wheel of a car. And it was one drink. And now imagine if that happened in a work related setting. That would
Right.
not have been good. That's exactly what you're talking about, the kind of thing where you just don't know sometimes what all is in. I still don't know what was in that drink.
You just know it packed a powerful punch.
Yeah, and if anybody ever serves me a drink this color again, I will not be drinking it.
Exactly. So
But
you
yeah, absolutely, the family and everybody around, it can be a bad thing. I kind of like to stay in the background at those kind of
I do
events.
too. I like to stay in the background. People come by and say, "Hey, how are you? I heard you were the kids' nanny." Yes, I am.
Mhm.
And I will talk with them about anything. I'm very versatile about talking about anything. I try to steer away from politics. I try to steer away from a lot of topics. Um, and they ask me what I do with the kids. I will try to stick with the topics that are around the kids, because I am there, even though I am not serving in the capacity of the kids' nanny at that moment. I still know I am the kid's nanny. Now, that does not mean that I'm this little bitty person and I can't speak up, but it does mean that I was invited because I am the kid's nanny, because I am important to the family, and I don't want to embarrass the family. I don't know what this person who is talking to me has been through, what their experience is, if they're trying to bait me, if they're trying to catch me, doing something. But I stick with, oh yeah, I'm their nanny, and I talk about nanny stuff.
Mhm.
I talk about the kids stuff. And if they want to talk about something else, and if I'm thinking to myself, oh no, I would never do that. That's interesting. That's all I say.
Mhm.
Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh heck no, I wouldn't do that. But I can't tell them because I don't know who that person is
Right.
to my employer. I don't know what they have said to their employer about, to this person about me. So I try to keep my answers short and sweet. I try to keep them non-judgmental, and just, that's interesting. If you don't know what to say, try that's interesting.
Mhm. So if you're ever in a conversation with Angela, and she says, that's interesting, you might know you're in big trouble.
It's either no, I wouldn't do that, or I have no clue what you're talking about.
Right?
So and it is interesting. Your point of view is interesting, but I like I said, I just try to keep it short and sweet and to the point, and um, mind my business, and not inquire into if they ask me what I do, and I may ask, oh, so what do you do? And they go off, and usually when people start talking about what they do, if they're anything like me as a nanny, they'll just keep going, and I just let them talk, and I said, at the right places, and oh, that's interesting. And you don't get in trouble. You haven't said anything out of the ordinary. You haven't brought attention to yourself, and you had a conversation. Hold on just a second. I need to go to the ladies' room. I'll be right back. And then you scurry away and go do something else.
That's always a good one to get you out of it. For
Let me
sure.
get out of this conversation real quick.
Right? So I want to ask about another thing here. In the past, because of the families that I've worked with, I've participated sometimes in some of their observances, usually in kind of a supportive type role. Like I have been part of a naming ceremony for the children, and not a here I'm doing any kind of blessing or anything, but just at this point, I need you to bring this child to me, etc. So we're a little more visible, and we're representing the family, so to speak, in that kind of situation. What would you advise a nanny or a newborn care specialist who's asked to participate in that? What kind of things do they need to think about?
Think about what you're wearing. Ask about, is this formal? Is this casual? Am I expected to wear, do I not wear jewelry? Do I not wear it? It just depends on what kind of ceremony it is. Um, it's kind of like you don't want to upstage the bride, that type of situation. So don't wear that white dress, you know, to upstage the bride. Don't wear something that's, if this is a family event, I would suggest you stay away from the slinky, form-fitting dresses and things like that, because people are going to be looking at you, and you don't want to become a spectacle, and it's buzzing around the room about you, and you have no clue, because it's going to get back to mom and dad. But I would tell you to be mindful of how you dressed. Be mindful of strong perfumes that you might put on. I don't wear perfume. I wear very few scents because it bothers my sinuses. But if this is an event and it's like a newborn baby, or elderly people, that is, it's hard for their noses to accept, you know, loud scents. And it may smell good to you. It may be your best cologne, but consider just wearing something simple, like just a little vanilla, some just mild tones and mild scents to it, uh, as to not offend anybody. Um, Ask if you have to say anything. Ask if you have to stand there. What exactly your participation is in this. Um, and again, be professional. Smile. Don't stand there like, I don't really want to be here, because you're gonna see some pictures and your face is gonna look like. Keep that your resting smile face,
Yeah.
because pictures are going to be flying, and everything ends up on Facebook, and everything ends up on Instagram, somewhere in social media. And just keep your smile, even when nobody's looking at you. Smile, you know, because even if you don't smile, just have a pleasant face, not a. So there's a difference. But be aware of your facial features. Be aware of the way you're standing. Short dresses. If you have to sit down, they will ride up.
I tell everybody opt for conservative
Yes.
every time and opt for flat shoes. This is not the time for your, 3-inch heels because, you could show up at the event that's at the grandparents' house and it might be in the backyard in the grass.
Right.
And, you just never know. You don't know. As you said, are you going to have to sit down? Are you going to have to bend over? Are you going to have to help? I run with the assumption that if there's children involved, I need to be able to get on the floor, bend over, whatever, and not worry that anything is going to be either hanging out or might be offensive, depending on the cultural background or the religious background of the family that is either that I'm working for or people who might be attending.
Right. Right. Because you don't know, like you said, you don't know who is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know at what angle. The minute you bend over to pick up that pen that you dropped, or the child comes running and they grab you around the knees and you bending over to pick them up, and that dress rides up, somebody's snapping the camera. Oh, look at them. And then, they snap 2 or 3 pictures as they go, and one of them just happens to catch you. And here you are, wide open on Facebook.
Yep.
So please be conservative. I have like long skirts. I do maybe some. If it's a kids event, birthday party, especially here in Texas, I will wear some walking shorts, some Bermuda shorts, and have like a long, no sleeve, long vest over it, or something with a tank top underneath, so that it's long enough to carry. It may have slits in the side,
Mm-hmm.
but I have on long enough shorts, so if I bend over, you're not gonna catch anything on camera, except for my shorts and my long vest. I have several of those. I bought it specifically for birthday parties because I had 4 birthday parties like 4 weeks apart. It was like one was on Saturday, one was on Sunday, and one was the next week, and one was 2 weeks after that. So I was like, okay, this was one of this birthday party, that's one of that birthday party, so that I would be comfortable. I had some nice low heel, nice sandals on, and I looked presentable. Everybody else was dressed up, but I was not so casual that I looked like I didn't belong there. But I wasn't so dressed up as if I'm trying to upstage, the other people there. I just blended in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to do: blend in, not stand out.
Yep, I agree. I have a couple of outfits like that I take with me whenever I travel for work. And I also take one much nicer dress, but it's got a nice high neckline and it comes down below my knees.
Speaking of which, I'm fighting with this shirt right now.
Right? Because we just never know sometimes what the circumstance or the event's going to dictate. And so that can be huge.
Exactly.
You have already shared a ton of really great information with us, Angela. Is there kind of anything else, any final tips or any, hey, make sure you don't forget this, anything else that you want to share with our viewers?
Bottom line, always be professional. And if you don't know what that word means in your business, get a nanny mentor or ask somebody, someone that's going to be at the party, what is the dress code? Just be professional. Whatever you're doing, be professional. Think before you speak, before you drink,
and before you dress.
And before you dress.
Right.
Walk past the mirror.
Yeah.
Because I know that saying, did she look in the mirror before she left home?
Right.
Walk past the mirror. Time it too.
Right.
Ask some opinions. I've known some nannies that, okay, so this is outfit number 1. This is outfit number 2. This is outfit number 3. And they'll put it in front of their best friends or in front of a nanny group and say, I'm going to this nanny function. Which one should I wear? And nannies do have no problem with telling you, oh, this one looks more professional. This one looks more casual. I think you should wear that top with this bottom and those shoes. So, ask if you're not sure. ask before you leave home.
Mhm. I
And
agree.
always, always, bottom line, be professional.
Mhm. I absolutely agree with you, Angela. You have really shared some great tips with us tonight. Things for people to think about around the holidays and around family cultural events or religious events. All of this stuff applies regardless of their particular culture or their faith background because it's the core tenets of being respectful of a family. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about for sure. So, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your wisdom and insight. As always, it's so fun to talk with you. It's fun to laugh with you. And I am been really pleased to have you on again.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And you know me, I love to talk.
Yeah,
So,
don't we
and
all?
this is real talk.
I
So,
know. We could do this for hours, couldn't we?
yes.
Yeah. So if you have any questions around this topic or anything that's related to respecting family, holiday beliefs, religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, that sort of thing, put them in the feed and tag Angela or tag Newborn Care Solutions, and we'll make sure that she gets the question and you get an answer. If you're wanting to rewatch this segment or catch any of our past Real Talk episodes, including ones that Angela's been on, along with accessing our other content, hop over to newborncaresolutions.com and click on the Education tab. Thanks for joining us and have a fantastic night.